If I had my way, everything would be so nice. This world would be like Paris. No, it would be a paradise. No one would ever have to say, I'm gonna get my wish someday. All one would have to do is say, this is my order, if you may. Welcome to another episode of the School Without Walls. I am Anthony O. Hobbs, host and founder of this educational program. This program is primarily designed to accent the positive of African Americans. However, from time to time, we do deviate and talk about other things of interest to our community. Today, I have Dr. Pamela D. Moore. She is a PDSO officer, International Programs and Studies, School of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Human Services. She's been on the program several times. Glad to have you again. Today, you're going to sort of do an overview of what this program is all about today, right?
Right.
You may proceed.
Okay, well, I'm the principal designated school official. That's a long title.
Yeah, say it again.
For principal designated school official in the Office of International Programs and Studies with the School of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Human Sciences. Long title, but presently in that capacity, my primary responsibility is to work with our international students, although I also help to coordinate other kinds of international programs. This year, we have somewhat non-traditional international student on campus here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Miss Maki Eguchi is from Japan, and she is a Fulbright foreign language teacher assistant, teaching assistant. Okay. And we just use FLTA to abbreviate all that. And Miss Eguchi is here to teach Japanese as a foreign language for UAPB students. And she is doing this in collaboration with the School of Business. The idea being that the world is becoming so global that business students should have an appreciation of the Asian market, and Japan in and of itself is an economic superpower. So she is collaborating in teaching a class on international marketing, whereby another teacher teaches the marketing and she focuses on Japanese language and culture. I'm here because the Office of International Programs is one of her co-sponsors in terms of working with the School of Business, submitting the application, facilitating her cultural program, working with her to arrange opportunities to do public outreach, that kind of thing. But the reason why I say she's a special student is because she's not enrolled in a degree program, but she is taking 2 classes a semester, and that is a part of the agreement with the Institute for International Education. And by the way, this program is funded by the U.S. Department of State, and it is administered by the Institute for International Education. And each year there are hundreds of individuals who come from other countries to teach their native language, take classes, and learn from their experience of being in the U.S.
All right, I certainly thank you for that introduction. And after the break, we're going to have Mrs.
Eguchi
to come, and I shall present her.
Okay, great.
Hello, my name is Latrice Smith. I'm a graduating senior here at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, majoring in computer science. At this point, I thought that I would be struggling to find a job, but thanks to my mentor, Dr. Jesse Walker, and Career Services, I was able to obtain a position as a service management specialist.
Latrice worked hard obtaining 3 internships while on campus. UAPB can help prepare students like Latrice for those same opportunities.
UAPB prepared me.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Millions of people are affected by disaster in America. And we're right there, providing food. With more than 200 food banks, reaching communities all across America. Donate now for immediate relief and long-term recovery. Every dollar helps provide food for disaster victims. Help now at feedingamerica.org.
Hey, you going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you! Come look at Mr. Feather. Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember? Bark, bark, bark. We're just playing. We're just playing on trying to get you out of here.
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Those of you who have just joined us, I'm Anthony O'Hobbs, host and founder of this educational program called The School Without Walls. My guest is Miss Maki Eguchi. She's Japanese, and she is a Fulbright foreign language specialist. Glad to have you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, what happened out of all the schools we have in the United States, what happened you came to University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff? Why?
Yeah. I'm a graduate student in Japan. My major is Japanese literature. So I'm interested in teaching Japanese language and culture in foreign countries. And I also wanted to learn English and American culture. So I applied Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant Program. And then they accepted my application. And then they decided to send me to this university in Arkansas.
Okay, that's very good. You say you're here to teach Japanese language as well as learn. You're here to learn also, right? You want to learn more about the U.S. culture.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how much had you studied about the U.S. culture prior to coming here? How much knowledge did you have about the U.S. culture?
Yes, so I learned American literature. One of the professors in my university in Japan, his major is African American literature.
Is that right? African American literature, okay.
Right. So yeah, I learned a brief history of American literature, and I also learned the history of American literature when I was undergraduate.
Now, can you tell me anything that you had learned about the African American through this class? African American literature is what he taught you. Can you remember anything that he taught you that you tell us about? What did you learn about the African American before you came here? Okay.
Yes. So in Japan, American culture has also one aspect. So very few American culture. So especially in Japan, the connection between the U.S. and Japan is very strong in West Coast, like California.
West Coast.
West Coast, California, or East Coast. So mainly in Japan, the knowledge about African American is not. It's very few.
Very little, very little known about the African American culture. Do you not see the African American on television in Japan?
Not so many.
Those you see are clowns, aren't they? Clowns. They are dancing, rapping, huh?
Yeah.
Rapping?
Yeah, rap musician.
Yeah, rap music or something like that. But you don't get a chance to see the intellectual part of African culture. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
So in the literature class, I learned the history of slavery.
You talk about
Japan.
slavery in Japan. Most Japanese high school graduates know about slavery in the United States. Is that right? Do they teach it in high school?
They knew, yeah.
You do?
Yeah, but not
very much.
Not very much, right?
But in college, this was an elective because of your major. Is that right?
Right.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, I read some novels written by slaves, so slave narrative stories.
I see. Now, what diplomatic relationship, if you understand, if not okay, that Japan has with China? See, Japan is close to China. Do you have any relationship with China as far as trade, things of that nature, with China? Your trade? Industry? Exchange students?
Yeah. So there are many international students from China in Japan.
In Japan, I see. What about the Japanese learning the Chinese language? Is that one of the requirements?
No.
No?
But Chinese language and Japanese language, we share same kind of characters, Chinese characters. So for me, I can't speak and read Chinese characters.
You can or cannot?
I cannot.
You cannot?
Cannot. But I can understand the meaning of characters, even though I can't speak Chinese.
Oh, in other words, you can read some of the language.
Yes.
Right. So you understand the characters, like we call them alphabets in English, right?
Right.
There you go. Okay. Excelente, excelente. Since you've been here, what is it that you have learned that surprised you? Did anything surprise you about America? Okay.
Yeah. So many things surprised me here. Especially first I came here, the students' English are very different from English I learned in Japan. Accent, intonation, and slangs are very different from English I learned in Japan. So I was very surprised, and also still now I have very difficulty to listen to
understand
English.
some of the students, right?
Yeah.
You can understand some students better than others, right?
Yeah.
Now, when Dr. Moore talked to you, you understand her pretty well, is that right?
Yes.
Because she speaks a different type of English than the average student here, right? So that's a good education for you, right? That's a good education to understand those who don't speak the best of the standard English. Okay. Now, in teaching the classes, tell me a little bit about the progress you made in teaching, because I believe there's a learning process as you teach. You're teaching them Japanese, and that's improving your English, is it not?
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
Yes. So, I have my class in international marketing course. Just students are interested in Japanese economy or business, or some of the students interested in Japanese fashion, or clothing, or education or religion. So this semester, every week I have a lecture about different kind of topics. So my major is literature, so I'm not familiar with Japanese economics or Japanese fashion. So first I researched about Japanese economics or clothing or fashion, and then I have to translate Japanese to English. So I researched about some Japanese words in English in dictionary or internet.
We have only 2 minutes, so we're going to get ready to close out here. I'm certainly proud to have you with us. Now, are you living on campus, or do you live with some family here in the city?
Yeah, I live in a very big house near campus.
In the city, right?
In Pine Bluff, yes.
With a family?
No. There are 7 or 8 people in the house.
Students?
Some of them are students. Some of them are not students.
Is that right?
But we share a room in the house.
Okay, now how long will you be with us at the university?
How long?
How long? How many months? How much more time? When are you leaving?
3 months.
3 months. And you're going back to Japan?
Yes.
And when you go back to Japan, what do you plan to do?
I will go back to my graduate school and I continue my doctoral thesis. And also I will start teach Japanese to international students or to teach English to Japanese students.
Okay, we've got to close out now. Well, you could communicate with Dr. Moore once you return to Japan. You do that, and we want to know how you're doing. Glad to have had you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here.
Saranata.
Sayonara.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor. Because even one attack is one too many.
I wouldn't have been at this ceremony if I hadn't been at this ceremony first. Unfortunately, nearly 30% of U.S. high school students aren't making it to graduation, and every one of us, every parent, every friend, and neighbor has the responsibility to provide the support and encouragement they need to make it through, because we all need to see a lot more of these pictures.
We are back with another student of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. It's Amber Wimley. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Glad to have you on the program today. I understand you're a student of Mrs. Maki Eguchi.
Maki Sensei.
She's teaching you Japanese, right? The Japanese language?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us a little bit. What can you say in the language?
Okay. Hajimashite, Amber Wimbley.
English first. Just
English?
say it in English, then Spanish, then Japanese.
Okay, Hajimashite, and that's how are you?
Say it again.
How are you?
In Spanish, in Japanese.
Hajimashite.
Hajimashite.
Yes, sir.
Hajimashite. Okay.
And then there's my name is Amber, which is Amber Wimbley Toimasu. And then Yorishiku Onigashimasu. That says, very nice to meet you.
You seem to sound that quite well. You hit it real well, in my opinion. What happened? Why do you want to take the Japanese language?
When I used to watch certain shows, they're called animes, and they speak in the Japanese language. But I never understood what they were saying. And when I heard there was a Japanese class, I got really excited because I always wanted to know what they were saying.
Ah, good. How are you classified?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you plan to continue studying Japanese, the language?
I would love to if I could find a way for someone else to
I'll tell you
teach
how
me.
you can do that. There are records and books in good bookstores. Perhaps can go online and get you a course that you should continue it. The only way to learn a foreign language is to learn it well enough to teach yourself. A teacher can only instruct you. You must take time out of the classroom. So if you would do that, eventually you will be speaking it well, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, time is up. I'm glad to have you.
Yes, sir.
May God go with you.
Thank you.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're gonna beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Those of you who have just joined us, I'm Anthony O. Hobbs, host of this educational program. I'm interviewing some students here on campus. I have Mrs. Gloria Wilson. How are you, Mrs. Wilson?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Glad to have you here. I understand you're a student of Mrs. Maki Eguchi, right?
Yes.
Okay, tell me briefly, you only have about 3 minutes. Tell me a little bit about how you're enjoying the class and so forth.
I'm really enjoying the class. I've learned a lot of Japanese. I would like to learn more, and I really enjoy going into her class each week.
Okay. Anything that you can remember in Japanese, like can you say, what is your name, or tell me your name in Japanese, introduce yourself in Japanese, can you do that?
Yes. Hajimashite. Gloria. Hajimashite, it's how do you do? Gloria T. Imas, which is my name is Gloria.
Anything else you've learned?
Yeah. I can count.
You can count?
Yes.
Count to 5 for me.
Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, go.
Okay, you're probably pretty close to an A student, aren't you? Okay, anything else you want to say? Let me ask you something about yourself. You have children?
Yes.
And what are the ages?
They go from 9 to 23.
9 to 23. Okay,
yes.
9 years old.
9 years
to
old.
23.
To 23.
Okay, how many do you have?
5.
5 children. Okay, I guess most of them are still in school, aren't they, or all of them?
I have 2 still in school, and a 9-year-old and a 16-year-old, and I have one that goes here to UAPB. She's 20.
She's 20. Okay, we have 1 more minute. You live here in Pine Bluff?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you, and encourage your friends and relatives to come to UAPB. This is a good school, isn't it?
It is.
What happened you came to University of Arkansas rather than going somewhere else?
It was close to home.
It was convenient, wasn't it?
It was very convenient, and I've had no problems. I've been treated like one of the family here.
How about that?
Graduated with my undergraduate last year and working on toward my graduate student.
I'll tell you why you was treated like one of the family is because you are one of the family. We're going to close on that one. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Those of you who have just joined us, I'm Anthony O. Hobbs, host of this program called The School Without Walls. I'm interviewing students of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff today who are taking Japanese under Miss Maki Eguchi. How are you doing today?
Good.
You are Mr. Gilmore, Mr. John Gilmore.
Yes, sir.
Is that all right? You said you're the nephew of Dr. Gilmore, who's is it Dr. John Gilmore?
Yes, sir.
Who's a retired professor here.
And nephew of the old Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, too.
Is that right? Okay. Now, Tell us a little bit about, because we know you were born here in Pine Bluff, right?
No.
Where were you born? Tell us.
Los Angeles, California.
Okay, how long have you been here?
I've been here about 15 years.
About 15 years. That's most of your life, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
How old were you when you came?
About 3.5.
About 3.5. You don't remember a lot about California, do you?
No, but I did go back during the summer.
Okay, okay. Now, are your parents there in California?
My mom's here.
She's here. Okay, okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about school. Out of all the schools in the world, why in the world did you select University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff?
Well, I got 2 reasons, really. One is because it's close to my family and they need me to help them. And 2 is because they say they have a good computer program here. So I want to find that out for myself.
So I bet you're going to major in computer science in some aspect of it. Excellent. We should have about 2 more minutes, so talk to me in Japanese. I understand you've been in the Japanese class, right?
Yes, sir.
Talk to me.
Okay. Hello is konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Okay.
Hajimasen means how do you do?
Hajimasi?
Hajimasen.
You said hajimasen? Okay, go ahead.
And John Gilmore Tuimas means my name is John Gilmore. And it should be like Yoroshiku Onegaishimasu means nice to meet you.
Okay. You do want to continue the language?
Yes, sir.
Realize you can do this on tape and so forth and so on. I would encourage you to take Spanish also because...
I took about 2 years of that in high school.
Wonderful. I'm a Spanish professor here, so I would like to work with you on that. It's about time to go now. There was one other question that slipped my mind. But anyway, glad to have you. And again, say hello to your uncle,
yes, sir.
John Gilmore.